All right, let's jump right into it. Today, we're tracing the incredible 600-year evolution of one of Japan's most famous and honestly most misunderstood supernatural figures. We're talking about the Yuki-Onna, a yokai whose massive transformation tells us just as much about human history and psychology as it does about myth.
Now, you probably already know the story, right? It's that classic, tragic tale of a romantic winter spirit. She spares a young, handsome woodcutter during a deadly blizzard, but makes him swear to never speak of her. Years later, he marries this beautiful woman, they have a house full of kids, and then, one night, he slips up and breaks his vow. His wife reveals herself as the Snow Woman, spares his life only for the sake of their children, and then dissolves into a bright white mist, gone forever.
But here's the crazy part. That romantic, modern Yuki-Onna we all think we know, she's actually the result of centuries of cultural makeovers. So how exactly did a figure that started out as a terrifying, literal warning about winter turn into this tragic pop culture icon? I mean, today, she's absolutely everywhere. A total global icon. She inspired the Pokemon Frost Lass, she's front and center in classic anime like Yu Yu Hakusho, popping up in games like Yokai Watch, and even in masterpiece films like Akira Kurosawa's Dreams. Across the board, she's drawn as visually stunning, super elegant, and very often deeply sympathetic. To really get what she's about, though, we gotta strip it back to the basics. Just look at the name itself, written with two kanji, Yuki meaning snow, and Onna meaning woman. At her core, she's a supernatural entity intrinsically tied to the devastating power of winter storms and severe, biting cold. Part 1, the terrifying regional origins. We are peeling back that romantic facade. Let's ditch the modern world for a second and step into the freezing, treacherous mountains of pre-modern Japan. The whole thing really kicks off around the year 1500 with a travelogue by the poet Sogi. While he was trapped in what is now Niigata Prefecture, he wrote about seeing this bizarre, alien-like figure in his frozen garden. And trust me, she was no romantic interest. He described her as almost 10 feet tall, wearing translucent, gossamer clothing with stark white hair. The locals didn't even consider her a ghost, they just called her the spirit of snow. And honestly, depending on what part of snow country you were in, she was a straight-up monster. In Aomori, a snow vampire sucking the vital energy right out of frozen victims. Over in Iwate, she was a child taker abducting kids during winter festivals. In Nagano, forget the beautiful maiden. She was a terrifying elderly mountain hag. She was a hyper-localized lethal predator. Moving on to part 2, the science of the spirit, or the medical reality behind the myth. So what on earth was actually happening to people up in those remote, snow-buried regions to inspire such horrific, specific tales? Well, modern medicine gives us a pretty chilling answer. Severe hypothermia triggers a documented biological glitch known as paradoxical undressing. Basically, as your body's temperature regulation totally shuts down, you falsely perceive extreme heat. Freezing victims will literally strip off their clothes right there in the snow, hallucinating from the cold. It's incredibly easy to see how a search party, finding someone undressed in a blizzard, would swear they'd been seduced or attacked by a beautiful, pale spirit. Now, stack that horrifying medical reality on top of the sheer environmental chaos. You've got snow blindness causing visual distortions, you have pareidolia, that's your brain's hardwired habit of seeing human faces and random snowdrifts, and then there's shoji sasuri, this eerie thing where blizzard winds rub against wooden shutters and sound exactly like human voices. Suddenly, encountering a deadly snow woman makes complete, terrifying scientific sense. Honestly, that context is just so powerful, isn't it? It takes these spooky ghost stories and turns them into heartbreakingly real records of survival. The Yuki-Onna wasn't just a campfire tale. She was a coping mechanism to explain the very real, lethal dangers of Japan's brutal winters. Which brings us to part 3, the cultural makeover, redesigning the yokai as Japan evolved. Just look at the timeline. It's a wild ride. She starts in 1500 as a localized weather warning. Fast forward to the Edo period in the 1700s, and legendary playwrights like Chikamatsu turned her into a theatrical spectacle, a vengeful ghost for the stage. Then, jump to 1904. Lafcadio Hearn publishes his English-language collection Kwaidan, introducing that romantic tragedy with the woodcutter. That version captivated the globe, setting up her huge cinematic debut in 1964. You can literally see this shift happening in the art.
We go from Sogi's massive white-haired elemental spirit to the 1776 woodblock prince by artist Toriyama Sekien. He totally rebranded her. He gave her the long black hair, the white burial kimono, and that classic footless floating look of a traditional Japanese ghost. Sekien literally codified the vibe we associate with her today.
This whole evolution took about 600 years. Basically, as Japan urbanized and people got a little cozier, they were way less directly threatened by the harsh winters. Because society wasn't fighting for its life against the cold in the exact same way, they could afford to soften her image, turning a terrifying monster into this romantic, aesthetic figure ready for mass consumption.
But hey, this definitely wasn't just a Japanese thing. Harsh winter environments universally churn out these exact same archetypes everywhere. You've got Hans Christian Andersen's Snow Queen in Denmark, the benevolent Snugarushka in Russia, the Kaliak hag goddess in Celtic lore. It's a textbook example of ecological determinism in folklore. It's like this shared human experience of freezing to death literally hardwired the exact same myth into totally disconnected cultures. No matter where humans settled, if the winter could kill you, the dangerous, beautiful woman archetype was born straight out of the ice. All right, part 4, winter's dual nature and the true meaning of the myth. Let's tie all these threads together to see what she really represents today. At the end of the day, the modern Yuki-Onna is the ultimate embodiment of mono-no aware. It's this deeply Japanese aesthetic concept all about the poignant beauty of things that just can't last. It's that profound, almost heartbreaking emotion you get when you realize a moment or a life is transient, dangerous, and doomed to fade. She is, without a doubt, the perfect personification of winter. Think about it. She brings death, wrapping the whole world in an unforgiving freeze. But at the same time, she's breathtakingly beautiful. Her white kimono screams absolute purity, but also mourning. And just like the snow that eventually has to melt to water the spring crops, she can't stick around forever. She has to melt away. If there's one thing you take away from this explainer, let it be the sheer power of human storytelling. Over 6 centuries, a society took a terrifying, lethal environmental threat, a literal matter of life and death, and somehow molded it into this beautiful, tragic mirror of human emotion and impermanence. Which leaves us with a pretty chilling thought to ponder. As our modern world keeps building higher walls, smarter heaters, and stronger insulation against the realities of nature, what brand new myths are we going to create to explain its terrifying, awe-inspiring power? Keep that in the back of your mind the next time you find yourself caught out in a sudden, blinding storm.